A 68-year-old monk in Dharamshala drops into a full squat, knees past his toes, heels flat on the stone floor. He holds it. No hesitation, no grimacing, no hands on the wall for support. He's been awake since 4:30 in the morning. He'll stay in that position until it suits him to stand. And tomorrow he'll do it again without thinking twice. Meanwhile, the average American man at 52 woke up today, swung his legs over the side of the bed, and grabbed the nightstand just to stand up. His knees locked for the first 20 minutes. He's on his third bottle of glucosamine this year. It's not working. Only 12% of Tibetan men over 65 report any functional joint limitation. In the Western equivalent, that number is 38%. 3 to 1. Same species, same aging process, completely different outcome. That monk is not a genetic freak. He's not doing anything exotic. He spends exactly 7 minutes every morning doing something your body was built to do and quietly stopped doing because nobody told you it mattered. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what that is. And by the end of this video, you'll have the complete protocol to start reversing stiffness. Not next month, not after some supplement kicks in, starting tonight. Here's the belief most men over 50 carry without ever questioning it. Stiff joints are what aging looks like. Cartilage wears down, things dry out, pain is part of the deal. So you treat the symptoms. Ibuprofen when it flares up, glucosamine every morning, maybe a cortisone shot when it gets really bad. That entire logic is backwards. The stiffness is not the result of getting older. It's the result of one specific biological process shutting down. A process your joints depend on for lubrication, hydration, and shock absorption that only gets triggered by movement. The right kind of movement in the right sequence at the right time of day. Monks understood this 14 centuries ago. We now have 6 peer-reviewed studies that explain exactly why it works. Here's what we're covering today. First, the exact mechanism behind joint stiffness and why age is almost irrelevant. Second, why the $12 billion supplement industry is selling you something science has proven doesn't work and what it's quietly costing you. And third, the complete 7-minute protocol broken into 3 tiers so you can start today wherever you're starting from. Let's get into it. Before the sun rises over the Himalayas, the monks at Drepung Monastery have already been awake for an hour. They don't start with meditation, they start with the body. Sitting on a thin rug, a monk works through every joint from his feet to his neck, rotating each one slowly, deliberately, 7 times in each direction. He's done in about 7 minutes. Then he sits completely still for hours, without stiffening, without pain. What he's doing is not stretching, it's not athletic warm-up, it's maintenance. And that distinction is everything. Here's the biology you were never taught. Your joints don't have a direct blood supply. The cartilage inside your knees, hips, and shoulders gets its oxygen and nutrients from a fluid called synovial fluid. Think of it like the oil inside an engine. It lubricates the surfaces, cushions impact, and feeds the cartilage everything it needs to survive. The problem is that synovial fluid only circulates when you move, not when you walk from your car to your desk. It needs full-range rotational movement, the kind that repeatedly compresses and decompresses the joint capsule. Without that, the fluid thickens, the cartilage slowly starves. There's a second layer to this. Your joints produce a protein called lubricin, a biological lubricant secreted by the cells lining your joint. In 2021, researchers publishing in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that active joint movement stimulates lubricin production 3.2 times more than rest. Without consistent movement, lubricin production drops 60% in adults over 60 in just 72 hours. That's what a quiet weekend does to your joints. And then there's the fascia, the connective tissue wrapped around every joint in your body. A 2019 meta-analysis in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, pulling from 47 studies, found that fascia loses up to 40% of its hydration between ages 50 and 70 in people who don't move through full ranges of motion. Not because of age, because of stillness. Let me give you a quick test right now. Make a fist with your dominant hand. Open it completely. Do that 7 times. Notice how the second, third, and fourth repetitions feel progressively smoother and easier. That's lubricin activating. That's synovial fluid distributing through the joint. You just felt the mechanism working in real time. The Tibetan practice is called Lujong, specifically a sequence called Kai Gu Korwa, which translates as turning the joints of the body. It follows a precise anatomical order: fingers, wrists, elbows, shoulders, neck, spine, hips, knees, ankles, toes. 7 rotations clockwise, 7 counterclockwise. Every joint, every morning. A 2018 study in the Journal of Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy followed 124 adults between 60 and 75 years old with chronic morning stiffness. 6 to 8 minutes of active low-impact joint mobilization increased their range of motion by 34% compared to a rested state. Passive warmth alone, a hot shower, a heating pad, did not produce the same result. The movement is the medicine. Tier 1 starts tonight. Before bed, sit on the edge of your mattress and rotate each ankle 7 times in each direction. Straighten each leg slowly, bend it back 7 times per knee. That's under 3 minutes. Do it again tomorrow morning before you touch your phone. Within 7 days, mornings will feel different before you even stand up. The most common mistake at this stage is speed. People rotate fast, trying to crank the joint loose. Slow is the entire point. The slower the rotation, the more completely the joint capsule decompresses. Speed bypasses the mechanism completely. Tier 1 has a ceiling, though, because the problem isn't only inside the joint, it's in the tissue surrounding it. And that's exactly where the supplement industry's biggest lie falls apart. Americans spend $12 billion a year on joint supplements. $12 billion. And for the vast majority of that spending, the clinical evidence is damning. Glucosamine and chondroitin are the 2 most purchased joint supplements on the market. In 2006, one of the most comprehensive trials ever conducted on these compounds was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. The conclusion: glucosamine, with or without chondroitin, performed no better than a sugar pill for reducing joint pain. A 2015 Cochrane review, the most rigorous form of evidence synthesis that exists in medicine, analyzed 43 studies involving over 9,000 patients and landed in the same place. No clinically relevant benefit over placebo. 9,000 patients, 43 studies, same result as a sugar pill. You've been sold a $12 billion placebo. And the ibuprofen you reach for when it gets bad? Long-term NSAID use actually reduces collagen production in articular cartilage, the very thing you're trying to protect. The FDA has a warning on this. Most men never see it because the doctor hands over a prescription and says, "Take as needed." Here's exactly how the trap works. You feel pain, you take an anti-inflammatory. The pain drops within 48 hours. It feels like it's working, but the underlying mechanism, no movement, dehydrated fascia, depleted lubricant, never gets addressed. The pain comes back, you take more. Cartilage continues to deteriorate. Doses creep up. Now you're dependent on something that is quietly accelerating the original problem. The American with chronic joint pain spends between $2,500 and $7,500 every year on supplements, consultations, and devices. The monk spends zero. Here's your second test. Stand up right now. Without any warm-up, lower yourself into the deepest squat you can manage and hold it for 10 seconds. Pay attention to where the restriction lives. Ankles, knees, hips. That tightness is dehydrated fascia and thickened synovial fluid. Not structural damage, not inevitable decline, mechanical neglect. Hold on to that feeling. You're going to feel the difference in 2 weeks. This is where Kun Nae enters the protocol. Kun Nae is a Tibetan therapeutic practice documented in the Gyushi, the 4 medical tantras, since the 8th century. It has been practiced daily at Drepung, Sera, Ganden, and Namgyal Monastery for over 400 years. It combines self-applied moist heat with systematic joint mobilization and targeted self-massage of the connective tissue surrounding each joint. The heat is not ceremonial. A 2016 study in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation followed 89 patients with mild to moderate osteoarthritis. 5 to 7 minutes of moist heat applied before joint mobilization increased synovial membrane perfusion by 52% and reduced pain perception by 41% for the 2 hours that followed. The heat thins the synovial fluid. When the joint then moves, the fluid circulates far more effectively. The cartilage absorbs more. The fascia softens. Monks have been doing this since before the science existed to explain it. Tier 2 adds 2 minutes before your Lujong sequence. Wet a small towel, microwave it for 30 to 40 seconds, and place it on your knees and hips for 2 minutes before you begin rotating. Do this every morning. The effect is not subtle. Most people feel it in the first session. The mistake at this stage is using dry heat, heating pads, heat lamps. The research was explicit. Moist heat produces significantly greater synovial perfusion than dry heat. A warm, damp towel from your microwave outperforms a $200 electric heating pad. A wet dish towel. That's it. You now understand the mechanism. You know the trap. What you don't have yet is the complete integrated system, the one that builds on everything and takes you from stiff every morning to the kind of joint resilience that lets a 68-year-old monk squat without a second thought. That's tier 3. And that's where the real transformation happens. Here's the complete system. 7 to 12 minutes. No equipment, no gym, a small towel, and eventually a bottle of sesame oil that will last you several months. That's the entire investment. Step 1. Thermal activation. 2 minutes. Damp towel, microwave 30 to 40 seconds. Placed on your knees and hips. While the heat is working, breathe slowly. 3 deep inhales through your nose. Slow exhales through your mouth. The Tibetan practice of thugs lung uses this exact breathing pattern to increase internal circulation to joint tissue. You're preheating the engine before you ask it to move. Step 2. Lujong rotation, 5 to 7 minutes. Start at the ankles, 7 slow rotations each direction. Move up through the knees, hips, spine, shoulders, elbows, wrists, neck. Every joint. In that anatomical sequence, distal to proximal. This order follows the body's natural lymphatic return pathway. The sequence is not arbitrary, it's physiological. Step 3. Kunye massage, 90 seconds. Warm a small amount of sesame oil between your palms and apply circular friction around each kneecap, along the outer hip and at the base of the neck. 30 seconds per zone. These are the areas of highest fascial density, the areas that dehydrate first and fastest within activity. This is where monks focus their hands. That is the complete system. Now your third test. After your first full week on this protocol, go back to that squat. Same conditions, no warm-up. Go as deep as you can. Hold 10 seconds. Most men gain 2 to 3 inches of depth with noticeably less resistance at the bottom. That's lubricant. That's hydrated fascia. That's your biology responding to a signal it has been waiting to receive. Let me give you the troubleshooting now because questions will come up. If your knees feel worse in the first few days, you're moving too fast. Slow every rotation down by half. Pain is telling you to decelerate, not stop. If hip restriction isn't improving after a week, you're shortening or skipping the heat step. Moist heat before hip rotation is not optional if you have significant stiffness there. That's the non-negotiable piece for the hips. If your schedule genuinely doesn't allow the full sequence in the morning, travel, young kids, early calls, do the ankle and knee rotations lying flat in bed before you stand up. 90 seconds. It's not the full protocol, but it keeps the biological mechanism running until you can do the complete sequence. If you have a confirmed arthritis diagnosis, this protocol is compatible. Movement is not contraindicated for arthritis. It is the primary treatment. Start with Tier 1 only for the first 2 weeks and let your body adapt before adding heat and massage. Here's the timeline. 7 days, morning stiffness measurably shorter. That's cement the 20 to 30-minute window where your joints refuse to cooperate after waking, compresses to under 5 minutes. Most men feel this shift within the first week. 30 days, visible range of motion improvement. The squat test will show it clearly. Stairs stop requiring conscious thought. Getting out of low chairs becomes automatic again. 90 days, structural adaptation. The fascia has rehydrated. Lubricant production has found a new baseline. The joints have a genuinely different default state. People around you will start to notice. If you want the complete 90-day plan, full troubleshooting, and protocols for sleep, muscle, energy, and chronic pain, I put everything together in the Western Monk Guide. Link is in the description. Everything you need to take back your vitality. No supplements, no injections, no gym required. Let me close the loop. A 68-year-old monk in Dharamshala drops into a full squat every morning and holds it without effort. The gap between him and the average Western man his age is not genetics. It's not an ancient secret. It's not luck. It's 7 minutes every morning before anything else. Three things to take with you right now. Your joints are hydraulic. They need movement to circulate lubricant and feed cartilage. Stillness doesn't rest them. It starves them. The supplement industry built a $12 billion business on a problem they had no interest in actually solving. You've been treating symptoms your whole adult life. Monks treat the mechanism. 7 minutes of the right movement in the right sequence at the right time changes your biology. Not eventually, within days. Here's exactly what to do. Tonight before bed, rotate your ankles and knees 7 times each direction, 3 minutes. That is session 1. Tomorrow morning before you look at your phone, do it again. Add the warm, damp towel to your knees first. By the end of this week, run the full Lujong sequence head to toe, 7 minutes straight. The one thing that destroys all of this is inconsistency. 1 week on, 1 week off does not work. Lubricant production resets in 72 hours. Daily is not a lifestyle recommendation. Daily is the biological mechanism. The monk woke up at 4:30. You don't have to. You just have to show up for 7 minutes. If this story changes the way you look at the stiffness in your body and the potential for your own physical freedom, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. We are uncovering the biological truths and historical wisdom that modern systems have often overlooked. Reclaim your movement and Geo Trong your future. The next treasure of health and vitality will be revealed soon.